Tip number 3, less is more. This is probably the most important thing I think that you could possibly learn coming out of this session. Your audience is crucial. The surefire way to kill your audience watching your video is to bore them. They will not like to be bored. If you look at statistics on YouTube viewing, audiences that watch YouTube, if we took the top 10 advertisements on YouTube for 2014, and this is a fact, if we averaged out the time of them, how long do you think that they would go for on average? 3 minutes is the optimum time. There are a lot of people that get paid a lot of money to research this stuff. So 3 minutes is your optimum time frame to keep people entertained. If a person's clicking onto your video, how long do you think you have, on average, this is another YouTube statistic, before they lose interest and turn off? How long have you got to capture them? 20 seconds, okay? If someone's not interested in the first 20 seconds, so see you later. Isn't going to happen, all right? So bear that in mind. Less is definitely more. From a technical point of view, when you are sending your clips, a lot of you might be using iPads or using phones perhaps to film. You might be out in the field on an excursion or doing an outdoor project. Your students will often be transferring files to you via email from their phone. Okay, that's just how students do it nowadays. The longer your clip that your individual clip that you shoot, the bigger your file size is going to get. The bigger your file size gets, when they come to email it, you're going to end up with this. This is enough to put any teacher off actually attempting to make a documentary. And so many teachers that I've seen will stop at even attempting it once they reach this message. When you shoot, try and keep every clip that you do to about 5 or 6 seconds tops. Tip 4, plan to tell a story. This comes back to what we said earlier on about having stages in our project and recording each stage. So what is your story? There's 2 different ways to look at it. You can either plan to record your project as you go along, or you could do it retrospectively. Some of you might already have a project you've done, and then you might have, like you said, some very rudimentary recordings of it. It doesn't mean it stops you from actually documenting the project. So how to work out what your story is. I work with what I call the creative kite model, and it works on a kite shape. Why is it a kite shape? Well, the left-hand point of the kite is the project start point. The right-hand side is the project end point. Now, this can be any duration. This can be an hour, it can be a week, it can be a year. Any duration can be split up into 3 sections. 1, 2, 3, project end. Now each of these sections, I find, if you're planning a project from the start, if you document at each of these intervals, you will have plenty of stuff to play with when it comes time to actually documenting your film. So let's have a look at stage 1. Stage 1 I call the design stage. Now you'll see that stage 1 ends at the widest point of the kite. This is the point where all the students' ideas, the what, who, why of the project can just be let run riot. They can go as wide as they can, just have the most creative ideas possible. They might not all be achievable, but put them all on the table. So you want to plan, you want to brainstorm, you want to delegate tasks. If you can record some sort of document at the end of this stage, at the point at which they are the most creative and all their ideas are on the table, that is the first part of your documentary once the project's finished. You might only grab 4 or 5 photos. You might grab 3 comments from a student after this stage, but at least you've covered that planning side of the project. The second stage is what I call the development stage. This is the how do we do it, where are we doing it, when are we doing it. This is where they create stuff, they make stuff, they build stuff, they organise themselves, they realise the project and they do things. This is the actual doing part of the project. You'll note that the shape of the kite starts to taper down. So now we're going from all our wild ideas into actually doing them. As we do the ideas, you know what? Some of them aren't actually going to be that achievable. So we narrow the focus of what we're doing into stuff that is actually achievable. The third section is what I call the display section. This is where you get right to the pointy end. All the ideas we had are actually now congealed down into what the actual outcome's going to be. So we need to make sure we can edit that down to what is the thing that we did. We launched the thing that we did. So it could be a marketplace that we launch on a particular day. We deliver the project. We test the project. We try it out and see if it did actually work. We celebrate it and we reflect upon it. So this area here, really important to capture some narration from students about how they felt about the project. Did it work? What could we have done better? All three of these sections go together to make up your document at the end. And that's what I like to call the tail of the kite, which is you putting this together into a document. Like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. It could be 3 photos at each stage, but at least you've captured it across the duration of the entire project. 1, design, 2, develop, 3, display. You have all of those things, you have the basis for a story and an effective story.